六but mighty!
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Atifa, an English teacher at Low But Mighty. Have you ever felt like your school bag weighed a ton, or that the sweltering weather in Singapore could burn you to ashes? If you found any of those statements relatable, you would have understood two different hyperboles. Today, let's delve into how to use and identify hyperboles when it comes to English. Firstly, a tip to take note of: the word is pronounced hyperbole instead of hyperbole. So, what exactly is a hyperbole? If you notice, the phrases that I used at the beginning of the video were examples of exaggerated statements. Making anyone carry a bag that literally weighs a ton should be illegal, and the sun could never burn us to ashes unless we are vampires. In a nutshell, a hyperbole refers to an exaggerated statement that is not meant to be understood on a literal level. It is used to add an element of creativity to a statement and make it easier for a reader to imagine a certain concept. For instance, let's take a look at the previous hyperboles I mentioned. A ton is an extremely heavy weight measurement, which would add emphasis to how heavy a school bag is. Being burnt to ashes is also something that occurs under intense heat, which could thus emphasize how hot the Singapore weather could be sometimes. At the secondary level, it's important for you to understand hyperboles so that you can incorporate your knowledge for two exam components: continuous writing and narrative comprehension. When it comes to your personal recounts or descriptive essays in continuous writing, you can use hyperboles to make your writing more creative. Whenever you want to convey certain emotions or ideas, you can consider exaggerating it with a hyperbole instead of using the word very. Take a look at this simple sentence: I waited for very long. To improve on this sentence with a hyperbole, we could say this instead: I waited for an eternity, or I waited for an eon. Can you see how using a hyperbole conveys how the writer waited in a more creative way? However, when writing a hyperbole, take note that you should exaggerate the correct aspect of an idea. For instance, the following hyperbole would be inaccurate to convey the idea that someone waited for very long. I waited for what felt like a 20 km run. In this example, the writer needs to focus on time rather than distance. When creating a hyperbole, do ensure that you exaggerate your idea in a relevant manner. You should also be careful not to make a hyperbole too specific to yourself. For instance, the following hyperbole, based on the simple sentence we saw earlier, would not be relatable to all readers. I waited for the amount of time my father takes to get ready before leaving the house. Although some people may relate to this, not everyone will. Do ensure that the hyperboles you write allow readers in general to understand them. Now, let's try to create hyperboles based on 3 different sentences. Take a look at these 3 sentences and come up with hyperboles of your own for each of them. Remember these 2 rules: the hyperbole should focus on the correct aspect you want to highlight and be relatable. For each sentence, I have listed an example of a hyperbole that you can use, but you should definitely unleash your creativity to think of other examples. Take a look at these examples of hyperboles that you can use for these sentences. I hope you managed to come up with some interesting hyperboles. Do take note that while using hyperboles can make your writing more interesting, like all other literary devices, use them sparingly so they would not lose their effectiveness. Now, let's see how we can apply our knowledge of hyperboles to narrative comprehension. In narrative comprehension, you may be asked language use for impact questions, which may require you to identify literary devices and understand their purposes. This is so that you will be able to analyze how the writer is able to convey a particular idea. For more information on this question, do check out our previous blog post on literary devices. For now, let's take a look at this excerpt from To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee and a language use for impact question based on it. To tackle this question, we should first identify the hyperboles used. Are you able to pick them out? The trick is to locate words or phrases that show the writer making exaggerated statements. In this case, this is shown by the writer using the following phrases: nowhere to go, nothing to buy, and nothing to see. Then, we can think about what exactly the hyperboles we have identified show. The statement does not literally mean that there was nothing in Macomb County for people to buy or see. You can ask yourself, what quality or qualities about Macomb County is the writer trying to exaggerate? Remember to keep it relevant to the question too. The phrase "no money to buy it with," although a hyperbole, shows more of the financial state of the county rather than how dull it is. So, it is not relevant to the question and should not be included in the answer. To string your ideas together, a possible answer would look like this. Take note of how to score the full 2 marks for this question type. You would not only need to identify the hyperboles, but also explain the quality that is being emphasized in the passage. Also, avoid repeating the question keyword as your answer. For instance, if you merely repeat that Macomb County is a dull place, you would not be given the mark for the second part. Instead, explain what you mean by dull. For instance, having no interesting places to visit or shops to buy from. Apart from hyperboles, you should also revise other literary devices to ensure that you are well equipped to answer language use for impact questions. I hope that this video has helped to increase your overall understanding of hyperboles, both for writing and reading comprehension. Thank you and bye for now! If you've been enjoying our content, feel free to like and subscribe.